Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I am well, thank you. And thank you so much for agreeing to chat with me. I really appreciate this.
Thank
May
you
I
for
ask you,
having me.
you're welcome. May I ask you to please tell us your name?
Yes, my name is Tina Davenport.
And will you share a little bit about yourself, anything you feel comfortable sharing?
Again, my name is Tina Davenport. I am new to the technology world with my new role. I am a mother of two amazing children, and I work for a charter management company that handles schools in Ohio and hopefully a little bit further reaching in the coming year.
Excellent, excellent. So you mentioned earlier you're new to the technology. What exactly do you do in technology, or what is it that you do? What is your career?
I'm currently a vice president of data management systems for Empower Educational Solutions. The role is new for me as I was prior the executive director of assessment and accountability with my company. We built out a system called Empower, which is a data management system for educational entities. And so from that project, it became something that we felt that others should be able to use as well. So my role transitioned to where I now partner with the CEO of Educational Empowerment Group to create Empower Educational Solutions. And we are creating customized data management systems for educational entities. So I am new to this role, to handling operations as well as the software development. And it has been a journey.
Why has it been a journey?
It is a learning curve. When I started with the company, Educational Empowerment Group, I was new to the role. It was something that I applied to on a whim, just because my current position where I was not fulfilling. I knew I wanted to do more. So I was up one night late. It was like 2 a.m, and I woke up and I just got on Indeed. I applied to the role. 2 days later, got a phone call. Completely shocked. As I said, completely new to the role, had no clue what was going on. I came in, it was a small business, and they trusted me. I had not had that before. They trusted me to learn as I went, and I jumped in the waters full swim ahead and never looked back. From that experience, I feel like I became more disciplined. I became more empowered from this experience. And so from there, with them just handing me projects, I began to just learn on my own. I realized we needed something more to handle what we were doing. That's where Empower came about. At that time, it didn't have a name. We just called it our data management system. And working through that process, I realized like this is something that others can use. This is powerful. This will have an impact on how we utilize data in the educational arena. So again, we kind of revamped the system to make it more user-friendly, more marketable. And so like this process for me, working with software developers, engineers, analysts, has all been nuanced and welcomed. I would preface with that, it has been very welcomed. I have gone and enrolled in a certification to kind of just give myself more knowledge, to make myself prepared for the questions and challenges that I know lie ahead with productizing and marketing and all those sorts of things. So just working with those who are experts in the field, and then I'm coming in kind of on the end of it, but with a different perspective. So while they have they're tech savvy, I'm tech savvy, and I have the information that kind of makes the system run, if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay.
Isn't it wonderful to feel welcome and be given a seat at the table and a voice in the discussion?
Yes, ma'am. And it's amazing because I had my first staff meeting with the current CEO that I partner with, and it was me running the meeting. It was them listening to what I had to say. It was them listening to it, my ideas and thoughts and suggestions, and how to make the product that much more beneficial for our schools. So I did leave that meeting feeling very empowered, feeling like I had arrived in a sense. There's much more to go, but I left feeling like I had made a difference, and I am making a difference.
That's wonderful. So let me ask you this question. So how did you, Tina, the person, put yourself in a position where you would be recognized and appreciated and added as a contributor. What steps had you taken prior to applying for that job with Indeed that allowed you to successfully roll into this role, if you will, and lead as you have been?
Honestly, I think it was God.
Always.
Short story. But with that, it all take work.
Right.
With the faith, you got to put in the work. So I left my job of 8 years that I was very comfortable in. Very, very comfortable. Very comfortable. But I said, I have to do more. I'm shortchanging myself because I'm comfortable and I'm okay with where I'm at. I've had a lot of education, but I didn't have a lot of experience. So that was my issue with applying for upper management jobs. I had all the education, but not enough experience. So I said, okay, I'm going to step out on faith and I'm going to leave this company knowing that it may possibly be a mistake. But I said I had to try because I knew I had more to give than what I was doing. So I left there and I went to work for the federal government. I chose that position because it gave me a chance to step outside of me, to kind of get my feet wet in the tech world, to learn, and really to just take a step towards something I wanted to do. So I worked there for a while, and that became a part-time role, which I couldn't work part-time. And I left there, I went to another company, the Hospitals of Western Reserve. That, I think for me, that position stretched me and challenged me the most, to understand what it is I wanted to do and not just say it, but actually have the ability to do it. So working there allowed me to get into the tech portion, to get into training documents, to get into development of websites and all those sorts of things that I didn't realize was calling me. And so when I applied to my most prior position with Empower Educational Solutions, I felt like the job description described where I wanted to go. While I didn't have every necessary skill, I just took that chance and it worked. But I think once I did receive that position, I earned that position, I every day make sure I earned it. Every day I came in on time, ready to work. How can I help? What needs to be done? If I didn't know it, I figured it out.
That's so important for people to know, is to come to the work prepared and to do your very best, as opposed to coming, now that you've got the job and you passed the probationary period, you become kind of complacent in the way we work. That does not work if you want to succeed in your own life. You have to be an active participant in your own life, which means you're growing and you're doing your part to be recognized and appreciated.
Absolutely. And it's hard. It is hard because, you're juggling work-life balance. I'm a parent, I had a small child, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, like all these things, your extracurricular activities for your kids on top of trying to, make a name within your organization. So those things were very challenging. Lots of nights with no sleep, but it has paid off. So like now I have worked to get myself to a point where the CEO felt like, I know Tina's going to work hard. I'm going to hand this off to you and you run with it. So she has been very just behind the scenes. Whatever you tell me you need, whatever we need to do, we're going to do it. But I had to create that atmosphere for myself by being a hard worker, by going above and beyond, by asking the right questions, networking, trainings. I attend all sorts of PDs. PDs are free. A lot of them are free. I will Google and find all sorts of things to just keep learning. That is very important, that I feel like, I know certain professions like your nurses, your doctors, those kind of professions, they have requirements for continued PD, but I think it's very important that everybody continuously try to learn around your field to ensure that you're up to date, you're current, what's going on, the trends, it's not working. Those things make you very, very marketable. And understanding what's going on in your field.
Right. And for those listening, PD is professional development. And as Tina said, a lot of it is free. Different companies value professional development differently. So for people that aren't entrepreneurial and enterprising. If you decide to go out and get your own, it adds more value to you to do it, whereas your company provides it. And once you're employed, typically they provide some level of training, a couple of times a year, maybe conferences, things of that nature. COVID may have prevented some of that, in
Right.
recent times, but to be able to support yourself in your career, to understand that although you may work for a company, this is you, this is you're packing your own bag, you're developing your tool set, this is for your advancement. It may benefit the company, it may benefit others, but it's really more for you. And you have to constantly refresh that tool bag as opposed to letting the tools that you have grow stale.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with COVID, a lot of companies have allowed their professional development. It's free. A lot of the conferences that are all virtual, I was very surprised how many are just free for like the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I've taken complete advantage of many of those virtual conferences. They're not as engaged as in person, but they're still getting you the information.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. So for the next Tina that's out there, or even the next Empower company that's out there, how do companies work to be more inclusive? So you said that they took a chance on you and they've given you the ball and let you run with it. How do you encourage other companies to be so willing to open their doors, especially to a young Black woman? Typically, either they're looking for that person who's a seasoned professional or someone who's been doing this type of work or working in this industry. How do you think we go about getting more companies to be more inclusive and to take chances on younger, not necessarily the typical employee?
That's a very good question. I feel like one has to consider transferable skills. And I think that's my stance on when you hire someone who may not have every skill set that you're looking for, but if they have skills that transfer over from other positions that they have held, I think that helps with the current position. And in terms of a highly skilled person who's done it for 20 years, or a person who's been around for 2 years in the field and is still learning. I feel like a person who is able to be taught is very powerful. My grandma always taught me, if I can teach you, I can grow you. And to me, that just stuck with me. And that's kind of how I pursue life. If I can learn it, I can do better. And companies have to understand that while you may have those people who have 20+ year experience in technology, they may be stuck in their ways. They may not understand nuanced ideas. They may not be as innovative. Not saying that they can't be, but having fresh thoughts can help your company grow. It can make you be that disruptor in an industry that has been stagnant for so long.
That's a very, very interesting point of view. I think that's where you think about building your team. I think you need the old, the new, and the in-between. I don't think the team is great when it's just all young people or all old people or all women or all men.
Absolutely.
Or anything. I think you need a team of diverse, meaning different types of personalities, different types of skills, different types of experiences that come to the table. That's the best team, is a team that is diverse and not a team that is same.
Absolutely. And I was reading an article, I can't think of the CEO's name, of a company called Evolve. So what he sat down and did was use predictive analytics to determine what types of things makes a leader impactful. He then looked at himself through self-awareness and reflection and determined what skill sets he did or did not possess. And then he went out to look for those skills in others, so that his team encompasses everything that analytics tells us is a good leader, but his ego did not get in the way of saying, hey, I may not be a good communicator, so I'm going to go out and find a person who has these skills. I may not be good at organization. I'm going to go out and find this person that has this skill set. So knowing what you have and do not have also impacts the success of your company. And I think that companies have to consider that one person doesn't have it all.
That's exactly correct.
And I think that's kind of what I brought to my company. While yes, they had 20+ years in the field of education, I had the nuanced ideas, I had the drive, I had the time, and I had the ability to learn quickly. And
So
I
what,
think that, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I just think that's kind of where their mindset was to bring me in at the time when they did.
Yeah. So why do you think companies are resistant to that? I mean, specifically in technology, it is the least diverse, and I shouldn't say just technology, science, STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, math, and medicine are the least diverse fields in all the fields out there. Why do you think that companies are resistant to more inclusion, more differences?
Honestly, I think it boils down to just what they're used to. Technology does not look like you or I. Normally, it is a white male, and that's just what it has been. So I consider us to be disruptors. We are coming into a field predominantly white, predominantly male, and we do not fit the norm of what they expect. I experienced that going to conferences. I'm usually one of few women and of color that attends these tech conferences, and you feel the stares. You're the elephant in the room. I feel like you have to double up. You have to be better than at all times just because you are the minority in a field. Companies may not be comfortable enough with making minorities included just because they're not used to it. And I think anything that makes you uncomfortable sometimes causes a pause for hiring officials. Not because you may not be the best candidate, or you may be the best candidate, but because you are different, I think that causes people to become uncomfortable.
I think that in a lot of instances, that's just flat out racism and discrimination. I don't think
Sure.
it is just a matter of companies being uncomfortable. You know, historically, when you look at Black people specifically, we started out as slaves. We went through a very, very difficult time from slavery to almost to present day. And you still see the struggles of Black people. And a lot of the work that had been done early on, especially in the 18 and 1900s, and even coming into the 2000s, was to portray Black people as lazy, not intelligent, not focused. And so those mindsets still exist out there, you know, so companies want to hire people that are like them so they can tell the uncomfortable joke, so that they can interact the way they normally interact. And so it has been a struggle for Black people. And I would say this is true for most minorities, except that in some cases, some brown people, and not Latino or Hispanic, more Indian and Asian and those kinds of things, have been thought to be mathematically and more intellectually advanced than Black and brown, traditional Black and brown people. But unfortunately, there is no stereotypes that fit the mold exactly. There's no person that's this kind of person or that kind of person. Each person brings their own skill. I think your story, your example, is no different from anyone else. So if someone wanted to say Asian people are smarter, more academically or intellectually cannot speak to the intellectually gifted, they need to look at Tina Davenport, because that's not a true statement. And I think when you get to these ubiquitous or these superlative terms, all, everyone, most, I don't think it fits the mold. And I think for us to break that thought process that Black and brown people do not bring as much to the table as, say, white and male, we need more Tina Davenports to be out there and to tell their stories and to share, because I think that that's a perfect example of what it looks like to be a woman. And I don't subscribe to of color. I don't know what that means, because that assumes white's not a color. So I don't subscribe to of color, but to be a Black woman in society and in the workplace, and you are knocking it out the park. And that's what we want to see. We want to hear those stories. We want to hear about people who are examples, because they become examples for others, and they become examples for the majority to see that this is not a true statement, that you can make an assumption that Black people or brown people aren't, and whatever you want to fill in that place with whatever you say that they aren't. I don't think that's a true statement. I think each person brings his or her own best foot to the table, and how they show up depends on how they feel once they get at the table.
Absolutely. And I think what's also important, once you are at that table, you put your best foot forward. And once you are at that table and you have that solidified position, you pull someone else with you. I feel like I've had wonderful Black women mentors who took me under their wing to kind of guide me. I had a wonderful mentor at my company that was there for 8 years. I went to her, she was hired, and I just emailed her like, I see you're the new VP of diversity, can I meet you? And she welcomed me and she guided me. I went to conferences with her and just kind of gave me advice because she was a woman who had made it. It was not in technology, but she was a Black woman in a position of power at a very large institution. And at no time did she allow her title to define who she was. She was a Black woman communicating with another Black woman, whether I was an entry-level worker, I was a janitor, you would have never known from our interaction. She never made it like I'm this important person and you're not. She made it to where she wanted to lift me up to where she was. She guided me, provided advice, she helped me with networking. I mean, anything that she could do, she was willing and able and provided those moments where I just wanted to stop because like it was frustrating to not be able to get your foot in the door where you wanted to do, and you knew you had the skills, you had the knowledge, but you just didn't have experience. So she helped me to maintain that momentum and that fire and to know that it was possible. So having Black women mentor other Black women is very impactful as well. And so like that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of come on here and speak with you, because I am willing to do that. I feel like that is something that we must do. You must reach back. You must help others. You must give someone a chance. Because someone gave me a chance and you have to pay it forward.
So let me just say this. So I applaud that. That's wonderful. But it should not be mentoring or pulling people forward. It should be advocacy. And to me, advocacy is a very important thing. It means that you're willing to pick up the phone and call someone to give them a reference, to help them get a job, to connect them to someone or someone in an organization that can help them. We spend a lot of time talking about mentorship, and mentorship is important. It really is. But it's advice. It's someone kind of coaching you and guiding you along the way. But that person most often does not put themselves in harm's way, skin in the game. They do not pick up that phone and call and say, hey, I think you should hire Tina, or I think Tina should be promoted, or here's a better job, whatever it is. We, as all people, regardless of your ethnicity, should be advocates for those that are coming behind us, those that are right beside us, and those that are in front of us. You have to be an advocate to help people advance. And without that, you don't advance as well and as fast as you could. And the fact that you took a chance and applied for a job where your skills weren't ideal is such a minority trait. We typically don't take those risks because the rejection becomes so high and so frequent that, okay, how many times am I going to hear no? How many times are they going to say no to me? But that you did that speaks volumes to your confidence and your belief in yourself and what you can contribute. And I think that's a phenomenal thing as well.
Thank you. I am very resilient. I went to predominantly white schools, and that experience ensured I was resilient because commonly I was always the only little Black girl. I feel like it helped me because I understood how they worked. I understand the networking. I understand the relationships. I understand the social capital, like all those things I had a very early understanding of. And I think that has helped me understand how to navigate a career path, how to be resilient, how to open my mouth and talk to people, how to work hard, how to take challenges, how to take criticism, basically just how to navigate in multiple worlds. And I don't say that to say that you have to be a different person each place you go. I'm just saying that you have to understand the playing cards. wherever you go. So this hand may be different when you go to this boardroom, and the hand may be different when you go to this meeting. Knowing which hand to pull makes a big difference than going in there unprepared. And I think preparation is key as well. When I went in for the interview for my current company, I knew I didn't have all the skills required, but I was prepared, and I had written down things to examples of how my current skills could transfer to this position. So I think that you have to have confidence in yourself, as you stated. You have to know what you bring and the importance of you as a person, as well as that position. And I think that's what helped me kind of transition to a role that, no, I was not skilled at, but I very quickly showed them that, yes, we made the right decision.
Yeah. So what's next for Tina?
So for Tina, like I said, I just partnered with the CEO of my prior company to form Empower Educational Solutions. And right now we're building out the product to marketize it. So I'm hoping by early next year to start marketing and promoting the product to build up the new company. Excellent. Which is going to be a whole new challenge.
So you said partner. So does that mean you have vested ownership or interest in the company?
Yes.
Well, that's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. And so from there, where do you see the company going? What's your dreams and hopes for the company?
My dreams is that the company will provide and meet the needs of scooters all over the country. I feel like, while that is just not the only end all, but it does provide the ability to inform your decisions. And if the system allows you to centralize all of your data into one location with widgets and dashboards to kind of gain quick insights. So as a principal, I can come in, I can determine what my attendance rate is, how my enrollment's looking, how my kids fared on state assessments, quick highlights. So you're able to make decisions to impact your students. Because at the end of the day, my goal is to ensure that students are learning, regardless of any skin color, socioeconomic status, what have you. Every kid should be learning, and you need to have the right resources in place to ensure that. So my goal is to ensure that all kids are learning based on data-driven decisions and outcomes that will help them with achievement and growth.
Excellent. So one of the biggest things that higher education struggles with is this reporting. So they have the accreditation, they have all the reports that they have to send out about what they're doing, how they're spending their money to their board of trustees and all of these different entities. They have to raise money. They have, and all of this lives in data and ultimately a report, some kind of a dashboard or some kind of thing that gives them a projection about what's happening next. So you mentioned that kids are learning. So higher ed has forever dealt with the problem of completion rates, graduation dates, all of these different things that happen in higher ed. And so being able to take a snapshot and pull that apart and explain to the accreditors or explain to their board of trustees or explain to parents, here's what's happening and why these things are happening. How can Empower help that and contribute to that reporting piece? And I want to add to that, specifically, smaller colleges struggle with reporting more than the larger ones because smaller colleges are constantly trying to make sure they can, keep their endowment up, raise money, attract new students and so forth.
Okay, so the system is currently being used for K-12 schools. But to that question, I hadn't thought about it, but what the system will do for those schools is allow them to house everything in one location. So when you're talking about the issues of your focus is on finances, well, now you have a system come in and keep track of everything. And every vested stakeholder has the same information. So you're not getting misinformation. You're not having issues with access because everyone can access it quickly and timely. And then everyone can come together and have that conversation. So it's not just the finance department is trying to figure out what's next steps. Everyone can come together because, as we said, that diversity within a team can bring new ideas and suggestions. So absolutely having that ability to have access, quality data, and timely data will help hopefully impact their decision-making to kind of see inform their next steps. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So what's your advice to the Tina in high school? What's your advice to the Tina 5 years ago? What's your advice to Tina 50 years old? What things are you, what conversations or thoughts are you having to prepare Tina or to advise the young Tina? And that may not necessarily be you, but who's coming behind you, your daughters, your sons, you know, what's the conversations that you are forming in your mind or have formed in your mind about success and the next steps to it?
So for the younger Tina, I would say, don't give up. I started out in an engineering program and I did not finish it. I went into a social science and here I am right back into science. But I would say, don't wander from the path. In my mind, early high school, math was my thing. It was not a lot of Tinas that looked like Tina in the math classes, the upper echelon math classes. So I did feel, I'm not gonna say ostracized, but I did feel alone. I felt very alone. And again, I did go to predominantly white school. So on top of being a minority in the school, I was now a double minority in all the science and math classes. I think I let that get into my head more than I realized as a high school student than I realized as an adult. As an adult, Tina wouldn't have cared. High school Tina cared very much. I went into college, I think, at a disadvantage because of that discouragement. And I would tell younger Tina to be more resilient. I have that resiliency now, but I would tell myself then to don't stop, don't wander from the path, pursue it, keep pushing. People are going to provide barriers, whether you're doing what you want to do, what they want you to do. So just keep pushing through those barriers. Tina, in the future, I would just say, learn that work-life balance so you don't burn out. Because I do work a lot. I'll put my kids down and I'll open back up this computer. So just learning that work-life balance and understanding that you are more than a position is very impactful for women as well. I would tell future Tina to stay focused, stay steadfast. You're gonna be throwing some curveballs, but just keep knocking them out the park.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to chat with me today. I appreciate this very much. It's wonderful to hear your story, and I think it's a beautiful story. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you very much.
And keep telling it as often as you can. And because I think it is very important for people to hear. And I hope as people listen to these chats and listen to this, they'll see that the value of a Tina Davenport is as valuable as any other employee in the organization, regardless of her gender or her ethnicity. So
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So as soon as the video converts, I'll send you a link, hopefully today. And please watch it and let me know if I may upload the video. And please stay in touch and let us know if we can help you in any way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Bye.